Hi, we're Slick Cyber Systems. I'm Chris. This is Jim. We're going to go over something that I actually like to talk internally when I'm talking to the other people that are on the telephone and explain to them that don't do it. It's geek speak, technical jargon, nerd talk, whatever you want to call it. Internally, nerd to nerd, geek to geek, thumbs up. Okay, not to customers. But there are some things that are geek speak related that actually means something to a business, and we're going to go over those in a little bit later, like a list, top 10 kind of things.
More of explaining what the geek speak is.
Yep. But give me your thoughts on the geek speak.
Thoughts are, I mean, it's necessary for our business, internal to our business. The customer rarely will ever understand, what you're saying to them. So, it's important to explain to them what it is in plain English as best you can.
I agree.
And again, as best you can, because it's not always going to be a perfect.
No, you can't. But I think often you can downplay, or if you want, I don't want to say dumb it down because I don't mean to dumb it down, but you can simplify the language. So we're not in an IT, just like the military and other things. There's so many acronyms. MFA and
let's start with an acronym. DNS.
DNS. Yeah.
So, domain name service. DNS is a super important thing. DNS is the ability to turn an English word, a domain, so it's like cybersystems.com, into an IP address, which is how the internet works. Everything works off of numerals, IP addresses. So no different than your house address, right? Computer has an IP address. There's internal IP addresses and external IP addresses. We are talking now, for the most part, about external IP addresses by saying slickcybersystems.com or yahoo.com or google.com. So when you type that into the browser, it goes to DNS on your local machine, which goes to your DNS server and says, hey,
what is DNS?
Who is this? I already said that. Domain name services.
I apologize, I didn't hear that.
At the beginning. I said that in the very beginning.
You're not paying attention.
And it speaks to that, and then it goes out and says, who's this? And the DNS server's responsibility is to talk to whatever other DNS servers say, oh, it's this IP address. So it's a lookup.
Like a giant big phone book.
It's a lookup, and if it doesn't work, the internet doesn't work.
Yep.
Period. At least as most people know it and have to deal with it. Network latency, packet loss. That's another thing. What does that really mean? Well, that means that you're having problems with your connection. It could be the physical, could be the physical connection. It could be, your ISP giving you trouble. It could be a switch or a router inside your network that could be causing packet loss or network latency. All that means is there's an issue that's slowing down traffic. There's causing problems. So I'm going to leave it just that simple. Permissions, ACL misconfigurations. So, an ACL is nothing more than a thumbprint that's on that particular folder or file that says who can access it on the network.
Yep.
All right. So it stands for access control list, but the reality of it is it's nothing more than a little imprint on there. It says, okay, these people are allowed to access this file. Period. So if that's not configured right, then obviously the person that may need to see that file can't
get to it. Yeah.
So you just need to fix it. Pretty simple.
How about this is another one that people like to call server downtime.
Yeah. There's the oops, it's down, and then there's the we're going to have this down to do maintenance on it.
Yeah.
Whether it's patch reboots, that kind of stuff. Yep. There's always going to be downtime in servers. You've got to patch them. You've got to restart them for various reasons. If it goes down during the day, or during business hours, so unplanned, so planned versus unplanned.
But most downtime, generally from a system or network done well, is planned, the downtime.
Absolutely. But again, if something, come on, we've all experienced Microsoft 365, the Exchange environment. Every once in a while, it'll be down. Yeah, she's gone. And that, I mean, being that it's out of your wheelhouse, it's in Microsoft's wheelhouse,
Yeah.
The only thing you can do is keep an eye on it and report the issue, and kind of go on. So, so that, you've got to realize that server downtime, again, planned downtime is a necessity. Unplanned downtime is an oops, and it shouldn't be an oops, but blank happens.
They do happen, but a well maintained, planned environment should have minimal downtime, and if it does happen,
Correct.
you should be able to, your internal staff should be able, know why, and then rectify it in a reasonable amount of time.
Correct.
So what about like an agent not reporting or something along those lines?
RMM agent. So an RMM is a remote monitoring tool. It's what we MSPs use to keep an electronic eyeball on all your computers, servers, desktops, what have you. And if something doesn't happen, the machine locks up,
doesn't come online,
what have
goes
you,
offline.
Then we get errors within an X amount of time that says, hey,
something's wrong,
something's up, especially if it's a server, right? So you need to keep your eyeballs on it and fix it. But that's all it is.
It's the piece that helps us understand that it ain't working right.
There's nothing. It's nothing more than that. But it's a very important tool to us, and obviously to the customer base.
Endpoint detection. That's something else. Kind of goes on the opposite side of it. It's another thing that helps us understand what's going on in the network.
That's typically an EDR or antivirus system. Saying, hey, I see something that doesn't belong. Whether it's a true virus or a suspicious file.
And meaning an endpoint like your computer, your tablet, something, your device.
And it could even be on the server.
But it's still a device.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So all that means is that, again, your endpoint detection response, EDR, or antivirus AV, has seen something that it is suspecting may be a problem. And so that's pretty much all it is.
This is something that comes back to haunt some people, and if it's not done right, can cause problems. Patch management.
Patch management is freaking huge. Your machines, when your patch window is up, so the MSP will typically assign a patch window for you. They should let you know, but regardless of letting you know or not, you need to keep your PCs on 24/7, period. You do not shut them off, because patches don't happen during the day. They happen off hours, whether it's in the evenings or over a weekend, and that goes for the servers as well. It is critical, because if you don't keep up on that, you are exposing not only your machine, but your entire corporate environment to a potential virus or a problem, a major problem that could cause an entire corporate down situation, which is
so patch management is something that your IT staff or your MSP does, but they require your help in making sure those machines are on.
Right.
I know you think, hey, I'll just turn it off and go home. Well,
no.
Just like your car goes to the garage to get maintenance, and you don't want it to have to be in the middle when you're at work.
Right.
You want to schedule it so that it's in a time that it's your day off or a time you're leaving work. Patch management does the same thing. It does it in those hours where you're not at your machine. It doesn't impact your productivity.
We tell people in general, when you go home at night, reboot. Just reboot. And then you come in the next morning and log in, do your thing, and then when you go home, reboot. Now, don't shut down, reboot. Simple enough.
Next is IP conflicts. I think this is something that affects a lot of people and they don't understand it.
Yep.
And definitely from the side of, if you will, the geek or nerd speak, this is something we should explain to them.
This happens very specifically when there's two ways of putting a device on the network. One is using DHCP, Dynamic Host Control Protocol is what that stands for. All that means is your computer is set up for DHCP, so when you plug in your network cable or you're joining the wireless, it automatically grabs the next available IP address. So if you're using just that, you're fine. Where the problems come in is somebody will have a static IP. In other words, they've hard-coded an IP address on their machine. And and this happens a lot with printers. We see this a lot with printers, copiers.
Doesn't mean using that's bad. Sometimes there's a technical reason why you want to use that, but doesn't mean it's bad.
There are many technical reasons why you want to use that, but that is up for the IT department to assign that IP address and put it in for you.
Yep.
So if you have two of the same IP addresses at the same time,
something might work.
Both of those machines aren't going to work.
Yeah.
They're going to bounce. They're going to argue back and forth. Then the switch is going to get confused, and it's going to cause problems.
Lots of problems.
Lots of problems.
This is another one that a lot of businesses should really consider, and I think as we go further and further into, we've talked about it in the past on other terms, but shadow IT detection. That meaning that the MSP finds devices, phones, Internet of Things, and Alexa, other devices on your network
or software.
Yep. That users that the IT didn't know about
or prove. Because you can't control what you don't know. Number one, and you can't control what you don't own. Number two. So the reality of it is, I want to check my home email on my work computer. Maybe it's a Gmail account or a Yahoo account, something. I'm sorry, that does not belong on your work network or your work computer. It you want to have it on your personal phone, and your company allows you to look at your personal phone and check so be it. It doesn't belong on a corporate machine. Period. The end. Or any other tool for that matter.
It's not from a negative of like you like we don't like you. It's more of a we don't know what
control.
What you're getting into when you're getting into it, and you might not know it either.
Right. Because again, you could bring in a bug, a virus, a crypto. You could bring in anything, and now it affects the entire company.
There are a lot of attacks that attack directly those websites that you might social media or whatever. A shopping site that you like, not necessarily picking on Amazon, and they could have malware on their website, and then it's you're bringing it in.
It is about, for us, it's about the control, so we know what's on the network. So when
you're minimizing,
the executives say, I want this network protected, we know it is. When you start bringing all that other garbage in, you're exposing your company, and you're putting us in harm's way as well, because we've got to deal with the situation when you screw it up.
We're just looking to minimize problems,
right,
and making sure that everything plays well in the environment.
Yep. Absolutely.
Another one we all love, I know in 2025, especially users, MFA.
Good old multi-factor authentication. MFA is, it's a necessary evil, but damn, it's evil.
It's definitely evil.
And there's ways, that people are getting around it now.
Yeah.
It's nuts. But without getting into that, we've got other videos to talk about that specifically. There are situations when, the website that's doing the authentication with your device is having an issue. When that happens, the number that's on your authenticator on your phone or what have you to put into the, to be able to get in,
don't work.
It's out of sync, and then you're not getting in, period. And that is not your issue. That is that whatever provider is providing it. Mm-hmm. Microsoft, right? They have their own. I don't care who you use. So but the bottom line is,
you're essentially like reinitiating the whole process.
You could be resyncing it, or you could be waiting for them to fix their whatever issue they have going on. So and that's a pretty rare thing. It's a very rare thing, but it's still, if you see that kind of an error where, hey, you can't log in, your authenticator token's out of sync, those types of messages, that's what that means. It needs to be reported to IT, but nonetheless, it is most likely a problem that not just you are having, but others are having.
Yeah, probably.
I think that's good. We just hit we hit 10 topics there. Maybe at some point in time we'll do another one, and we'll put another 5 or 10 in there to help you, folks understand what this tech speak, geek speak really is.
We'll keep it up.
And
I like the whole jargon thing.
That's cool.
Making sure that everybody understands that.
Sure.
There's a reason why.
There's no rocket science to it. It's computer science, but it is what it is. It's nothing that we can't fix.
We're slickcybersystems.com. You could reach us on the phone at
570-215-8888.
drop us a message either on, through that, online to our .com. That's slickcybersystems.com. Call us on the phone. Add the question to the video, whatever makes sense for you.
Yep.
We'll take questions and we'll try and answer them.
Sounds good. Take care. Have a good one. If you find this content helpful, please like the video, subscribe, and share with your friends and your colleagues. Thank you.